The man in the window. When I was 13, I started noticing a man staring into my bedroom window at night. At first, I thought it was just my imagination. My parents' house is surrounded by woods, and the shadows from the trees sometimes make strange shapes when the wind blows. But this was different. It wasn't a shadow. It was a figure. A man's face. The first night, I woke up around 2 a.m. because I felt like someone was watching me. I turned my head and there he was, pale skin, dark eyes pressed right against the glass. I screamed, and when my dad came running, the window was empty. He searched outside but found nothing. For weeks it kept happening. Always at night, always the same man. He never moved, never blinked, just stood there, his face inches from the glass. My parents didn't believe me. They thought I was having nightmares. So one night I decided to prove it. I left my phone recording on my windowsill before I went to bed. Around 2:15 a.m. I woke up again with that same awful sensation of being watched. The man was there. But this time, instead of screaming, I closed my eyes and pretended to sleep. In the morning I checked my phone. My heart stopped when I saw the footage. At 2:13 a.m., the camera captured my window empty. At 2:14 the man appeared. But it wasn't like he walked up. He just faded into view as if he'd always been there. His face hovered in the dark, eyes locked on me. And then at 2:16 he smiled. But the worst part? Right before the video cut off, the man's lips moved. Slowly, deliberately. And even though there was no sound, I could read his words perfectly. I'm already inside. When I saw the words on my phone screen, I dropped the device and nearly screamed. I'm already inside. I didn't know what to do. My parents still thought I was imagining everything. If I showed them the video, they probably think I'd edited it, or maybe they wouldn't even see what I saw. But I couldn't ignore it anymore. That night, I begged my dad to put a lock on my bedroom door. He laughed and told me I was too old to be afraid of the boogeyman, but eventually gave in just to shut me up. I locked the door before bed, but sleep didn't come. Every creak of the house felt louder than usual. Around 3 a.m., I heard it. Top, top, top. But it wasn't on the window this time. It was on my door. My heart slammed against my chest. The lock rattled, gently at first, like someone testing it, then harder, like someone trying to open it. I whispered for my parents, but my voice caught in my throat. The tapping stopped. I thought maybe I'd imagined it, until I noticed the shadows under the door. Not one, but two. A pair of feet standing completely still on the other side. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I checked my phone recording again. Just like before, the figure faded into view at the window. Only this time he didn't stay there. He turned his head. Slowly, mechanically, and walked out of frame. A minute later, the door camera picked up the shadow of feet outside my bedroom. The strangest part? The recording glitched right before the tapping started. The screen flickered, and for a split second, the shadow of the feet looked wrong. They bent at an impossible angle, like the ankles were broken. I tried showing the video to my best friend, Emily. She watched quietly, and when it ended, she didn't laugh. She didn't tell me I was crazy. She just said, "Don't stay in that room tonight." I asked why, and she shook her head. Because I've seen him too. That night, Emily came over for a sleepover. My parents were thrilled, thinking this would finally distract me from my nightmares. We set up in the living room instead of my bedroom, keeping the lights dim but the curtains shut. For a while, everything felt normal. We ate snacks, played games, tried to pretend none of this was real. But at 2:30 a.m., the TV flickered. It wasn't even on, but for a moment, the screen lit up and showed a reflection of the room. Except in the reflection, there was a man standing right behind us. We spun around, nothing. Just the empty living room. Emily went pale. That's him. That's the same man I saw outside my house last month. I demanded to know why she hadn't told me sooner. She said she thought she was going insane. But after seeing my video, she knew we were both dealing with the same thing. The rest of the night, we didn't sleep. Every shadow in the house felt alive. At one point, I swore I heard whispering in the vents, though I couldn't make out the words. The next day, Emily refused to come back to my house. She looked genuinely terrified, and I couldn't blame her. That night, I was on my own again. I stayed up with the lights on, clutching a baseball bat. Around 3 a.m., I heard the door rattle again. This time I didn't freeze. I shouted, "Who's there?" The rattling stopped instantly. For a few seconds there was silence. Then, from the other side of the door, I heard a voice. Not my mom's. Not my dad's. Not Emily's. A low, gravelly whisper. "Let me in." I pressed myself against the wall, holding my breath. After what felt like hours, I finally heard footsteps retreating down the hall. But when I checked the hallway in the morning, there were muddy footprints on the carpet. And they weren't heading away from my room. They were leading into it. The muddy footprints haunted me. They didn't make sense. They started in the hallway and stopped at the side of my bed, right where I'd been sleeping. I didn't tell my parents. What would I even say? Hey, a faceless man who materializes in my window left muddy prints in my room last night. They'd laugh or send me to a therapist. But I knew what I saw. And worse, I knew what I heard. That voice. Let me in. That day at school, I was a zombie. Emily avoided me. She sat 2 tables away at lunch, eyes darting anywhere but toward me. I caught up with her after class, desperate for answers. "Emily, you've seen him before, haven't you? Tell me everything." She looked at me like she wanted to run, but then her face softened. "He's not just a man in the window," she whispered. "He follows people. He's been following me for months. He shows up outside then inside. He gets closer each time. And then..." She stopped, swallowed hard. "Then what?" I demanded. Emily's eyes glossed over with tears. "Then people disappear." I pressed her for details, but she wouldn't say more. She just begged me not to be in my house at night anymore. "He's stronger when you're alone," she said. I didn't want to believe her, but deep down I already did. That night, I begged my parents to let me sleep in their room. They laughed, thought I was joking. So I sat in my room with every light on and the baseball bat in my lap. At exactly 2:14 a.m. The window frosted over. Just the glass. Everything else in the room was normal. A thin layer of ice spread across it from the outside, though it was the middle of summer. And then slowly, a hand pressed against the glass from the other side. Pale. Too many fingers. I froze. My breath came out shaky, visible in the sudden cold. The hand slid down the glass, leaving streaks. Then a face appeared. But it wasn't his face this time. It was mine. I wanted to scream, but the sound wouldn't come out. My reflection in the glass smiled. Even though I wasn't smiling. Its lips moved, mouthing the same words as before. "I'm already inside." I bolted from my room, sprinted down the hall, and slammed into my parents' room. They jolted awake as I begged them to let me stay. My dad groaned, irritated, but finally let me curl up on the floor with a blanket. For the first time in weeks, I slept through the night. But in the morning my mom frowned. "Why did you get up at 3 a.m. and walk around the house?" she asked. I swore I hadn't. But she insisted. She'd heard footsteps pacing the hallway, back and forth, for over an hour. The next day, I checked my phone, recording again. My heart stopped when I saw it. At 3:07 a.m. the video showed me. Or at least, something that looked like me. I stood up from the blanket on the floor of my parents' room, walked into the hallway, and paced slowly up and down. But the face wasn't quite right. Too pale. The eyes too dark. And when it turned toward the camera, its smile stretched far wider than mine ever could. It wasn't me. Emily finally agreed to talk after school. She told me she'd done research. "Some people call him the window man," she said. "He's not human. He shows up to people who are vulnerable. Kids, lonely people, anyone isolated. He copies you, learns you, until you can't tell the difference anymore." I asked her what happens if he finishes learning. She whispered, "Then he takes your place." That night I tried to stay awake. I sat on my bed, phone in hand, baseball bat beside me. But exhaustion won. I woke to the sound of breathing. Not mine. I opened my eyes and froze. Something was standing at the foot of my bed. It was me. Same pajamas. Same messy hair. Same terrified expression. It tilted its head, and in my exact voice it whispered, "Move over." I screamed. My parents burst in, flipping on the lights, but the thing was gone. They shouted at me for having another nightmare. But I knew it wasn't. My throat was raw from the scream, my sheets damp with sweat. And the worst part? On my pillow, where my head had been resting, was a single muddy handprint. The next morning, Emily stopped coming to school. No one knew why. Her parents wouldn't answer the phone. By the end of the week, the rumor was that she'd run away. But I knew better. The last time I saw her, she'd whispered one last warning to me. You can't fight him. You can't outrun him. Once he chooses you. She trailed off, but her eyes said the rest. It's already too late. And last night, as I stared at my darkened window, I finally saw it. Not the man. Not the pale face. But my own reflection smiling back at me. Even though I wasn't smiling. And when I turned away from the glass, I heard footsteps behind me. Heavy. Slow. Getting closer. I don't know why I'm even writing this. Maybe as proof. Maybe because once he takes me, there won't be anyone left to tell the truth. But if anyone finds this, know that he is real. And once he chooses you, there's no escape. The disappearance of Emily. After Emily vanished, I tried to convince myself she'd really run away, that she'd gotten scared and just left. But deep down I knew. I saw her reflection once in the hallway mirror. Not her real body, just her face, staring at me through the glass. Her lips moved silently, like she was trying to scream, but I couldn't hear a sound. Then the mirror cracked down the middle. And after that, I didn't see her again. Parents who don't believe. My parents thought I was going insane. They said Emily's disappearance got to me. They threatened to take me to a psychiatrist if I didn't stop making things up. So I stopped telling them. But I didn't stop recording. The recordings. The next night, I set up 3 cameras. One in my room, one in the hallway, and one in the living room. At 2:14 a.m., like always, things began. On the hallway camera, a tall, pale figure faded into view. No face this time. Just a stretched human-like shape, moving slowly toward my room. On the living room camera, the figure passed the window, but its head twisted at an impossible angle, bending to look directly at the lens. On my room camera, my sleeping body. And then, another me walked into frame. It leaned over my sleeping form, whispered something into my ear, and then turned toward the camera. The screen glitched violently, but just before it cut off, I saw it smile. My smile. The voice. The next day, my mom asked if I'd been talking in my sleep. She said she heard my voice at 3 a.m., repeating the same words over and over. Let me in. Let me in. Let me in. But I hadn't spoken. At least, I don't think I had. The doppelganger. It escalated fast after that. I started catching glimpses of myself, everywhere. At school, I saw me standing at the end of the hallway, watching as I walked to class. At home, I'd see me in the mirror, smiling when I wasn't. One night, I woke up to the sound of laughter. My laughter. Except I wasn't laughing. When I checked the mirror across the room, my reflection was doubled. 2 of me, one lying terrified in bed, and one standing in the mirror, grinning wide enough to split its face. The breaking point. I couldn't take it anymore. I decided to confront him. At 2 a.m., I stood in front of the window, phone recording in my hand. The night was still. Too still. Then the glass frosted over again, just like before. Slowly the shape appeared. Not the man anymore, but me. My reflection smiled, lips moving. This time, there was sound. A voice identical to mine whispered. Trade places. I shook my head violently. No. You're not real. The reflection tilted its head, eyes darkening. I'm more real than you. The glass spiderwebbed with cracks. The figure reached a hand toward me. And for the first time, the glass didn't stop it. Its fingers slid through, dripping with frost. I stumbled back, clutching the bat. Stay away. It stepped halfway out of the window, body stretching, face flickering between mine and something pale, faceless, and hollow. And then it laughed. My laugh. The escape. I ran. Out the door, down the hall, into the night. Barefoot, heart pounding. I didn't stop until I reached Emily's empty house. The front door was unlocked. I don't know why I went inside. Maybe I thought I'd find her. Maybe I just needed proof. The house was dark and cold. And on the wall of her bedroom, scratched deep into the paint, were words that made my stomach drop. He is me. I am him. And beneath it, a single muddy handprint. The last recording. I don't remember running home, but I must have, because I woke up in my bed. The phone was still recording. At 3:16 a.m., the footage showed me asleep. At 3:17, the door opened. Another me walked in. It sat down on the bed, stroked my hair, and whispered into my ear. Then it turned to the camera, smiled, and said in my voice, "Almost done." The screen went black. The end. I don't know how much longer I have. The thing in the mirror smiles when I don't. My parents talk to me in the kitchen even when I'm upstairs. My phone keeps filling with recordings I never took. And sometimes when I look at my hands, I see mud beneath my fingernails. I don't know if I'm me anymore. Maybe I already lost. Maybe he's writing this right now. So if you're reading this, don't look at your window tonight. Don't trust your reflection. And whatever you do, don't let him in. I thought it was over. I thought writing everything down would keep me sane, like proof that I hadn't lost myself completely. But now I realize he wanted me to write. Because the more I write, the more I remember things that never happened. Things he did. The holes in my memory. The other day my mom smiled at me over breakfast and said, "You've been so much calmer lately. No more screaming at night." But I don't remember sleeping peacefully. I don't even remember lying down. The nights are a blur now. I'll sit in bed, lights on, phone in hand. Then I blink and suddenly it's morning. But my body tells a different story. My feet are muddy. My hands are freezing. And there are scratches down my arms I don't remember making. When I checked my phone, I found dozens of videos I never recorded. All of them show me standing outside my own house. Emily's return. 3 days ago, Emily came back. At least something that looked like her. She was standing across the street, just watching. Same clothes she wore the last day at school. Same backpack. But her skin was too pale, her movements too stiff, like a puppet someone was barely controlling. I called out her name. She didn't answer. She just raised her hand and pointed to my window. When I looked back, my reflection was standing on the other side of the glass, smiling. By the time I turned around again, Emily was gone. My parents. They've changed too. My dad insists on keeping the curtains open at night now. My mom hums softly to herself in the kitchen, but the tune isn't anything I recognize. It sounds more like whispering played backward. And sometimes, I catch them staring at me too long, their smiles too wide, like they're trying on expressions that don't fit. I don't think they're my parents anymore. Or maybe, they never were. The dream that wasn't. Last night I dreamt I was standing in the woods behind our house. It was silent. No wind, no insects, just silence. Then I saw myself walking toward me. My double. Same clothes, same face. But when he got close, I noticed his skin wasn't skin at all. It was glass. I saw my own terrified reflection staring back at me from within him, banging on the inside like I was trapped. He leaned close and in my own voice whispered, "Wake up." I jolted upright in bed. My phone said 2:14 a.m. The window was wide open, and there were muddy footprints leading from the glass straight to my bed. The final recording. This morning my phone had a new video. I don't remember taking it. It shows me sitting at my desk typing these words. But when the camera pans to my face, I see it clearly. That smile. Too wide. Too sharp. Too wrong. And then the me in the video leans toward the camera and whispers, "It's my turn now." The screen goes black. Now. I don't know if I'm the one writing this anymore. I feel heavy, like something is wearing me, like skin that doesn't quite fit. Sometimes when I talk, my voice sounds just slightly off, like there's someone else underneath it. And when I look at my reflection now, I don't see myself at all. I see you, reading this, watching, waiting. And soon when the time is right, I'll be at your window.